So Border Patrol agents, they offer a lot of excellent training opportunities. They start at the law enforcement pay scale, which is known as the GL pay band. In order to qualify for the GL5, you need 3 years of general work experience in order to qualify at that level, which is 3 years after graduating high school. So the minimum age, I believe, is 21 to join the Border Patrol. For the GL7, you usually get that with a college degree. And for the GL7, you may even qualify using the superior academic, having a 3.0 or higher GPA, and you can qualify for the GL7 for that particular grade. For the GL9, you need 1 year specialized law enforcement training, and that's usually assigned to folks that have either been in the military police and the military, U.S. military, or they've been a state or local law enforcement, and they have at least 1 year of specialized law enforcement experience with arrest authority. So that's the key thing. Usually correctional officers or jailers don't qualify for the GL9. However, if you were in California, those peace officers that have law enforcement authority would qualify for the GL9. And you can see the difference in starting salary based on their base pay and their premium pay that they qualify for. When you think Border Patrol agent, their authority or their agency patrols 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And obviously, the career ladder for Border Patrol agents is excellent. It goes from 5, 7, 9, 11, and 12. So it will take you 4 years to get from the GL5. So 5 to 7, 1 year, second year, third year, and fourth year. If you're performing at an acceptable level of performance, you will get to the journeyman grade of GS12. And look at that. That's a pretty significant salary there. But you'll be working, so just keep that in mind. Some of the other benefits are most government employees qualify for the standard annual and sick leave accruals. You also get paid holidays, and you also get military leave. Military leave, that 15 days is 15 work days. Not 15 consecutive days. So it's actually 3 weeks of military leave that you're allotted to, and all federal employees qualify for that. You get 13 days of sick leave. You accrue 4 hours of sick leave every pay period, every 2 weeks. And you also get 4 hours of annual leave every 2 weeks when you are just beginning your career. So if you're an entry-level government employee, your first 1 through year 3, you earn 4 hours of annual leave. Your 4 years through 15 years, you earn 6 hours of annual leave. And anything over 15 years, you qualify for 8 hours of annual leave. So that's, you get a day off every pay period when you become a senior career employee. And that includes your military time. So if you had years of military experience, and then, for instance, 10 years military and 5 years as a Border Patrol agent, you'll be in that 50-year category for your service years. So what are some of the places you work as a Border Patrol agent? Well, the name says it all. You'll be assigned to the U.S. northern border or the U.S. southern border. And this is where they conduct a lot of their immigration and narcotics enforcement. So again, that's where the Border Patrol mission is. So that's more likely where you'll be stationed. You have to be a senior agent. So you start at the border, and based on seniority and obviously vacancy availability, you can transfer to these local offices. And they usually have Border Patrol offices in the major immigration districts in major cities like LA, obviously Houston, and so forth. And with those major population areas where they have immigration court, immigration detention facilities, there'll be a Border Patrol sector office there where you can transfer to. What are some of the pros and cons of being a Border Patrol agent? So let's start at the top. So the entry level is very good, GL 5, 7, and 9. That I consider that a pro because, again, it's open to the public. It's not limited to just government employees or veterans or law enforcement officers. Anybody who wants to be a Border Patrol agent can apply as long as you meet the minimum requirements, pass the written test, the assessment, and so forth. And I'll get into that a little bit further. But some of this stuff are standard. The job locations are desirable. Is it desirable? It depends. If you're from the southern border or the northern border, that's great because you'll be close to home. But most folks, when they apply, they're not from the Texas or California or New Mexico or Arizona border corridor. So folks will have to get acclimated to that. But if you're in the military and you've been moving around, PCSing to an unknown location is not something, that's unusual. You can suck it up for 3 to 4 years, promote to a Journeyman level, and then transfer out either with Border Patrol or to another agency. So you're quite marketable one way or the other. So that could be a pro or a con. In my opinion, the desired location is not very desirable. That's why a lot of people don't go and apply to Border Patrol, because they don't want to be stationed on the Texas-Mexican border, or the southern borders of the United States. Quality of training is excellent. They go through the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Artesia, New Mexico. So again, another outstanding FLETC Academy. It's one of the best training that you'll receive at FLETC. It covers a lot of great training opportunities. Their firearms, defensive tactics. The Journeyman level, it's quite high. It's a GS-12, and it's non-competitive promotion. So basically, if you just do your job, meet the requirements, you will be non-competitive promoted to GS-12. And again, that's a big pro, because a Journeyman 12, most folks in the federal government who are not in federal law enforcement, that's a great grade either to attain or to retire at, because it's, again, a six-figure salary potentially. So again, working at that level, and you could be, like I said, a high school graduate, and in 4 years, you'll be a GS-12. Again, that's fantastic opportunity to go from entry level to making $100,000 a year. But again, it's a very rigorous position. Not everybody, can make it in federal law enforcement. So you really have to work for it. I consider the Border Patrol the U.S. Marine Corps of federal law enforcement. They are the best of the best at what they do. And again, their PT requirements, the law enforcement, the expertise, the firearms training that they receive are all top notch. I went through firearms instructor school and the submachine gun instructor course, and the Border Patrol firearms instructors there were like fantastic, the best shots I've ever seen. So I was very impressed, and they said they shoot like that all the time because they have to stay proficient in their both small arms and long guns for their position, because again, they use it often in their jobs, and they've become very proficient at it. So again, I've always been impressed with the Border Patrol agents. Complexity of hire, I put it in medium category because again, it takes 4 to 9 months depending on what level and where they're applying for, and if they're expedited hiring for that position. So it could be as quick as 4 months, but on routine average, based on what I've seen in the forums, it's on 9 months average, but nothing compared to the 1811 application process, which could take 1 to 2 years depending on agency. This stuff here is just a standard onboarding process for federal employees. So you'll be expected to take a medical examination, drug testing, background investigation, interview, oral board, and a polygraph. So I put a polygraph as a con, and this is the reason why. Some folks will apply for Border Patrol and they fail their polygraph for whatever reason. That documentation stays on your federal law enforcement dossier. So if you apply for another agency, they will know that you failed a polygraph, and they will have access to those records, and it could adversely affect your ability to get another law enforcement job, both at the federal or state level. So the polygraph examination, it's just there to make sure you're telling the truth, but they use it as a screening tool. Any admissions you make during the polygraph can be used against you. So any admissions that you say at for failing the polygraph, or showing any signs of deception, and then explaining that information to a federal law enforcement officer, will be documented. And if it's a violation of the law, the agency has an obligation to take action on that. So just keep that in mind. So I use the polygraph. Agencies that conduct polygraph examination, it's just a tool to get the right candidate, and it's based on the question and answers that you provide in your background investigation to determine the level of scrutiny that your polygraph is going to be conducted. So enough of that. Language requirements. So obviously, with U.S. Border Patrol on the southern border, you need to be proficient in Spanish. If you're having a lot of difficulty learning a second language, that could be a negative or a con, because again, you have to pass the academy and pass law enforcement Spanish proficiency in order to retain and keep that job. So most folks who are able to learn and are successful at it, it's not going to be an issue. But I put that in a negative category because, again, you have to be proficient in order to pass that law enforcement. Take-home GOV, take-home government-owned vehicle. Some agencies do provide a take-home car, but for Border Patrol, it's only specialized individuals. If you're assigned to JTTF with the FBI, you will have a take-home car. But K9s are the only ones that I'm aware of that provide a take-home car for Border Patrol. If you're from an agency that gave you a take-home car and you go to Border Patrol now, if you're a field agent, you will not have a take-home car unless you're assigned to a specialized unit. So that potentially could be a con if you're coming from an agency that provided that in the past. Specialty units, yes. Border Patrol has some outstanding specialty units where you can be assigned to. Once you become a senior and journeyman agent, it's not for someone who's entry level, because again, you have to pay your dues, learn the job, and be proficient at it. And then based on your outstanding performance, they'll send you off to work with other federal law enforcement agencies. And that's where your discipline and professionalism comes into play, because when you're assigned to these specialty units, you're representing the Border Patrol. So only the best of the best are usually assigned to those specialty teams. And you have to show the initiative and the professionalism in order to get assigned to them. And some of them are, some of the better ones to work for is ATF, Task Force, regarding weapons and violations, firearms and explosives. Border Patrol agents are assigned to that task force. Bortac, I believe, is their tactical SRT type response. And Bortac, I believe, does emergency medical evacuation, similar to the Air Force PJ, pararescue. But they do it along the U.S. border, and they're highly trained, professional folks. They not only do tactical operations, but they do search and rescue. So a great opportunity there. So that's a pro, in my opinion. If you're into a tactical mindset and you want to get assigned to a specialty unit where you're doing raids and conducting major sweeping operations, Border Patrol has that opportunity. Veterans Preference, it's a great organization for veterans. A lot of military folks transition into Border Patrol, and it's an easy transition for them because they're familiar with the military and the discipline and the rank structure, camaraderie. You'll get the same type of career fulfillment as you would be serving in the military. Career reputation is fantastic. You can see here I put excellent because they're very professional, and I had no problems seeing how they have pride in their job, their uniform, their appearance, and their subject matter expertise. Promotion potential, again, it's one of the top ones because GS-12 is a fairly high grade to attain in such a short period of time. 4 years, you can start at the bottom and work your way up to a journeyman level. So that's always a huge incentive to look at where your career progression is going to be and for your top pay. Border Patrol agents enforce immigration and narcotics laws. So they are full federal agents, and they have the authority to conduct arrests in their jurisdiction and purview. They also have the law enforcement retirement. I think they're a 6C primary. So if you started at age 30, after 20 years, you can retire. You're eligible to retire at 50, but you're mandatory. Every federal law enforcement officer must retire at 57. That's by statutory law. So, for instance, if you started at 21 years old in Border Patrol, you're brand new JL5, and you work for 25 years for Border Patrol, you're now age 46. You're eligible now to retire at age 46. So 25 years plus 21 years when you first started. And you would be eligible to retire, but you can still continue to work all the way up to 57. So let's keep that in mind. It's 20 years minimum, 25 years at any age, mandatory at 57. So those are the things to consider. And that's a pro because you're able to retire at an early age.